We've been joined by two guests. Let me introduce Dr. Auqaab Alizai. He is a foreign affairs analyst, joins us from Islamabad. Thank you very much, Dr. Auqaab, to have joined us. We'll begin with you. Auqaab, President Pezeshkian says that Iran is now in a full-scale war, while Foreign Minister Araghchi says that Tehran will negotiate only after gaining the upper hand. What would Iran consider a meaningful military advantage in your point of view?
Well, I don't think this is a matter of real military advantage. The United States is a superpower. It has overwhelming power in that respect. Iran cannot compete on a military scale, but then we bring in the economic and the political aspects into this. And the idea is to delay it as long as possible. They will be taking immense punishment because the United States is trying to impose some punishment onto Iran to make them and come to the negotiation table and maybe give America the upper hand. Now, Iran doesn't obviously want that. It wants a longer-term agreement, and it wants to make sure that this will last. Obviously, what's happened lately is a massive trust deficit. And when we think about that, what is it that really Iran can do? In all aspects, I think Iran can economically, it thinks, outlast United States politically as far as the midterm elections are concerned. And I think they correctly said this, that if Iran can take it to its limit, and they will suffer billions of billions in damages, but it will maybe achieve a more balanced understanding with the United States. And I think it will be at that point where Iran will probably take the upper hand in real terms, in political and economic terms, but not in the sense that it's been damaged so much. It's a long-term picture that they're looking at. They're not looking at the short-term bombardment because this could happen again and again. So they have to stick in their feet into the ground and resist. That's what they feel that their issue is. And it's also preparing.
That is the problem, Auqaab, as far as the short and the long term of it is concerned, because Iran has witnessed time and again how it has been attacked over the last few years. So it is, of course, quite apprehensive as to how things are going to move along this time as well. Of return. Auqaab, Tehran says it does not seek conflict with its neighbors but will strike wherever territories used to attack Iran. Now, after renewed attacks on Jordan, on Bahrain and Kuwait, is that distinction becoming impossible to maintain? Also, Iran claims it damaged US aircraft and hangars in Jordan, struck American facilities in Kuwait and brought down an MQ-9 drone over western Iran. What does it tell us about Iran's capabilities?
Well, there's multiple aspects here. Let me deal with the first part of the Arab neighbors. I think the ambassador alluded to it a little bit. It is a very dynamic environment. The Gulf has been in tensions for many years for multiple different reasons. And in the long term, Iran will want to encourage better relations. And if you remember the rapprochement between Saudi Arabia and Iran a few years ago, hosted by China, has been damaged somewhat, but particularly Kuwait and Bahrain and maybe even Jordan, Iran has always said that they will attack anybody's facilities, American facilities in the neighboring region. And that's where it comes down to a strategic aspect. And talking purely in strategic terms, this is a legitimate target as far as Iran is concerned, because they are American facilities. Maybe in different countries who may be neighbors of Iran one way or another, or in the region, and they continually state that they're not attacking civilian targets at this moment in time. But you did mention the desalination plant. But I think it's also for the fact that they want to put pressure on the United States, not just on the military terms, but with those neighbors, those regional neighbors, to put pressure on the United States as well, because their neighbors do not want to get involved in a wider regional conflict. And if Iran is suffering its own desalination plants or own water facilities, on own civilian infrastructure like the bridges that are being attacked, which the United States is doing, then it's going to widen the conflict even more so. And I think they're indicating that they will go to such lengths, if necessary, to put more pressure on the United States. And this is where the problem lies. Now, as far as capability is concerned, yes, it also indicates that they've got precision-guided ballistic missiles and the type of drones or missiles that they've got. By the way, on drones, they've knocked out at least 30 so far during the conflict. So that's indicating in itself an advanced capability. Whatever they've got that from, they do have it, and that is one of the calculus that United States military must take into account, and obviously it does. But this is a war, and you're going to have military casualties on both sides. Predominantly, it's going to be Iranian, primarily because it's a sitting target there, and the air defenses are not on a par with the United States, warships and things like this. But they're knocking them out. And for the fact that the drones have got into Jordan, the airbase in Jordan, knocked out these facilities, and the Patriots were trying to get them, but they were not, largely to do with the radar facilities that the Iranians took out earlier in Kuwait, Bahrain, and other places in Jordan. So it's a strategic conundrum as far as the United States is concerned, and its presence in the Middle East is being thoroughly reduced. And that has long-term...
To be very frank, Auqaab, I don't know what's going to be the end result of this whenever this conflict ends. Will the US bases in all of these countries remain? Will these countries be willing to continue having the US bases? Another question that a lot of people are asking right now across the world. Auqaab, I'd like this answer to be a bit short from your end. Tehran's chief negotiator and Speaker Parliament, Mr. Ghalibaf, in talks with the US, says that Americans keep, quote unquote, Americans keep bringing new military equipment to the region and claim that they want to stop the war. He also adds that actions must confirm that claims do not contradict them. What kind of actions will be acceptable by Iran as a move towards peace?
I think continuously attacking each other and targeting civilian infrastructure, for example, is not an action that would be conceived as something that's durable for peace. I think it is lessening the tensions, but I think also the United States is here trying to empower itself further for future longer conflict. If necessary, it needs to do that in its own terms because it wants to push forward the idea. Let me just get back to one thing, by the way. We miss out the bigger picture about the MOU. You talk about technical words, and that's very true. When you're trying to push and rush ideas and rush agreements, you're not going to get the right words. And because these are technical issues that take a long time to write an agreement on all sides. And what happened with the MOU, it was kind of rushed. And you're going to get things wrong. And this is where the argument is. But also fundamentally, the first point on the MOU was Lebanon, and nothing's changed as far as Israel is concerned in Lebanon, and Iran is also pressuring the United States on that. And the United States fundamentally is also trying to change the whole MOU again. I think this is a renegotiation. This conflict is a renegotiation, and the United States is pushing for the renegotiation of terms that are acceptable to itself, maybe because it felt eventually that it went into it in a rushed manner and didn't shore up its own interests. And same with Iran, because I think Iran came out on a better hand when the MOU was signed. But this, could have been talked about, but then it was signed. And now there's this conflagration.
Auqaab, thank you very much to have joined us. With that, we come to an end of today's Beyond Borders. We'll see you tomorrow with segment stories that pertain to you, the world at large, and from different perspectives. And we'll let you, as we always do, be the informed judge as to where things are moving along. Till tomorrow evening.